Well, the day is finally here to judge Ninja Gaiden 4. Since the game is in its final shape now, finished state, some might even say. Um, we have had confirmation that there's no more DLCs planned for this game, and considering how they've never shared the sales numbers for it, I don't think we'll ever see more for this game specifically. There might be a possibility we might see a Ninja Gaiden 5 or a remake of some sorts of 1 or maybe a Razor's Edge version of 4 at a later date. I don't know. The possibility of more Ninja Gaiden is uncertain, but I think we will get more. I just don't know when and how for the most part. But that being said, today is going to be the day where I completely keep it honest with you guys. Everything that we have been going through the whole year for the past year, pretty much, even longer. It's been a year and a couple of months now since this game got announced. Um, it's been a wild ride. It's been very exciting, very frustrating, and very entertaining to say the least. And this video is going to have practically three segments. The first segment is going to be me validating all those people with strong opinions about, hey, I like the game, and because I like it, that means it's good, and because it's good, that means I like it, and you and your opinion doesn't matter because I like it and the game is good. If you're one of those people, you're gonna like the first bit of the video because I'm gonna talk about all the good stuff that this game has to offer. But I'm going to end up on the bad stuff of it on the segments. That is the second one. Just a heads up, strap in because we all know I love yapping about video games, and this game has had some very, very downtime on me yapping about it ever since the trailer breakdowns. The second segment is going to be me, quite honestly, ripping this game apart from its shortcomings and misinformation that has been given to us and misrepresentation. And on the third section, you can freely not watch that because the third segment of this is going to be my point of view as a developer, not as a player. The first two are just me as a consumer, just like the rest of you. The last part of it is going to be this a part of me that I cannot seem to break out of anymore ever since I've started like game development. And the longer I am in the game developer situation, the harder it becomes to separate myself and how I view video game from my player side, which is it happens to a lot of professions, with movies, with like designing, with everything. If something is your profession, your point of view of it changes because you're looking at it at a different point of view because you're looking at it as a contraption now, not as a product. And to me, every video game is an amalgamation of things that could have gone right that didn't, and such and such and such. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, the things this game did right, in my opinion, I do think Yakumo is a very, very cool character in gameplay. Um, his personality is a wet cardboard. I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't talk too much, which okay, fine, that's his personality. They probably did that because they didn't want to risk making a happy go-to character in Ninja Gaiden, which is usually known to have a silent protagonist for the most part. Not really one-to-one silent. Ryu does talk, but very rarely. Yakumo was like, "Hey, I'm not going to talk too much because I don't know how the fans are going to react to it, so we're gonna keep him quiet." So that was pretty much the idea going into him, and that's fine. Sayori, arguably the best newcomer in this whole thing. Everybody loves Sayori. Everybody wants more of Sayori. Everybody was sad when Sayori died. Um, Obviously, I should put a disclaimer that this is going to have spoilers. So if you haven't played or experienced this game, definitely shouldn't watch this review because this is final thoughts. And the other two characters are whatever. The only other character that stands out is Tyron, which is kind of like Muramasa figure in NG4 for Yakumo. He's there, he does the shopping, he does the semi-training, I guess, and he is completely not anywhere besides the fact that he just spawns. He just drops down with the same animation every any mission that there's a crow and talk to. He's a cool character, but I feel like this potential is a little bit wasted by not being utilized anymore. To be fair, though, it is the first game. But again, that discussion is for the end. I think the characters are 50-50 when it comes to it. I do think mostly the characters have amazing designs visually, but narratively, they're absent, if that makes any sense. They're very, very absent. It's like they're either not there, or when they're there, they don't say much that means much. It's just, it's kind of not really present. But speaking of narrative, the narrative isn't bad either. It's generic. It's something you have seen. If you're an old head like me, if you're 30, 40, 50 even, one, what are you doing here? Two, you've seen it. You've seen it being told better. You've seen it being told 1,000 times. You've seen it develop better. It's not a groundbreaking story. If this is the first time you're experiencing a story like this is probably gonna put a benchmark for you that's going to be hard to pass, because as a first time experience, this game very much sets an experience for you. It sets a visual for you that's like, it's going to be hard to match by other games because it is very specific, narrow and specific. It's You got to think about it. How would I feel? Think about it this way. How would I feel playing this game if I was 7, if I was 8, if I was 9, if I was 10, if I was a teenager? How would you feel playing this game? How would you feel if this was your like NG2 first time experience? How would you feel like this was your DMC3 first time experience 20 years ago, right? Whole different book. It's going to be like an insane standard to come up to. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of us being produced nowadays when it comes to just gamer boys. Uh, Fuckers are just playing Fortnite, man. Everybody's just playing Fortnite and Minecraft. They don't grow up like we used to. They don't grow up playing a game that had no business playing because the age rating was thrice their age, and their parents just didn't care. That people just don't go through stuff like this anymore like we used to. Otherwise, it would have much more attraction. But aside the point, I'm gonna run out of video soon. The important thing is that it is a very, very nice first time experience. And the fact that this game is, one, small in size, and when it comes to like actual space, like gigabytes, it's pretty manageable. It's not those, AAA games nowadays which are like 100, 200 gigabytes almost, So it's not going to occupy too much space in your hard drive or solid disk drive, whatever. And the feel of the game is very precise. And I'm going to talk about the feel here and do a little bad and good with it. The only thing I feel like this game does worse in feeling is some of the impacts. Like Perfect Time, UTs. I think UTs in both NG2, especially NG2, and NG3 felt better when you landed them. The hit stop or the hit pause on hits and delimbing and like just enemies dying was more exaggerated. This game, it feels like you're just slicing, and like nothing happens. Past the delim, you don't get any hit stop, you don't get any hit pause, and I guess that's fine because they probably made that decision to make the UTs not as long, because as good as UTs feel like in 2, they drag on, man. They drag on so long. They get so exhausting to look at. It's like, all right, bro, I UT just because I wanted the iframes. You don't have to swing at the air for the next 5 seconds. Just end it. Which is an issue this game took care of. If your UT has killed the enemy, it skips the next 2 attacks and just goes to the finisher. So it's really good. If you've delimbed the enemy, you can switch targets after that. It's really good the way you can control UT. It's like, hey, the enemy's delimb. Continue watching. Yes, why you? It's my video. Thanks, YouTube. Weird. The cool thing with it is that they've taken precautions into like, hey, if you want to switch targets because UT delimb, and that means that enemy is one shot practically, yeah, you can switch targets manually. We can lock onto someone, or you can just hold the direction and go to it. Is your enemy's dead and there's nobody left? Okay, we're just gonna skip the animation and go to the ending. It's like very good, very nice. And the fact that since they're universal now, they do pretty much everything for you. You can get you can get a healing off them, and you get the UT. And they fixed my biggest complaint with that excess essence is fucking worthless. Excess essence in this converts into HP. So if you only need 2 essence to get maximum UT. After that point, the rest just heals you. So you can actually use UT as a heal, which is a great quality of life. And like these are things I've been complaining about 5 years ago when I was replaying NG3 and NG2, I was like, wow, dude, X's Essence is just horrible. Like, it feels like such a waste to use them for UT. Because if you have a red essence, which gives you an impo, or blue essence, which gives you health, like, sure, you get level 2, but you don't get the heal or the impo off of it. And in the cases of where you accidentally consume them, it really is a shame. It actually messes up your whole progression, because with the excess nimpo, if you have nimpo and there's a nimpo on the floor, essence wise, you know how many enemies you can kill with that nimpo instead of the UT charge? And the same with healing. The healing can actually save you from the rest of the encounter, but instead, you accidentally absorbed the healing nimpo because you hold triangle for like 1 second. You didn't even probably mean to. Yeah, it's like situations like that don't exist in 4, and I have to give it credit. The convenience of quality of life in this game is really nice when it comes to UT. They've nailed the UT. They just need to make it feel better to watch. And the one thing that I think every Ninja Gaiden suffers from is that you cannot change cameras when a UT is going up. You cannot spin your camera, which I think is the dumbest decision they've ever made. The player needs control in a game like this. Always. They always need control in a game like this. It's good on a Zuno drop, you can spin the camera, right? That's fantastic, but I don't know why in UT you can't. So I think implementing a UT camera movement would be fantastic for the player. Especially, you can just make it that if you're locked on, if you toggle, your switch lock, the camera shifts. It would be good to have free camera during UT charges. I know it loses the cinematic aspect of it, but I'm pretty sure if you are a dedicated pro player or whatever hell you want to call yourself, if you play this game a lot, you want control over the cinematic that you've probably seen 1,000 times by now, which is where I land. I don't care about seeing the UT. I just want to know what the rest of the enemies around me do, which we'll get to why that is such a horrible thing later with a lot of things. But movements, delimbing, OTing, everything is better, but they all have an inconvenient into accidentally OTing because you just wanted to do a heavy string, which is how you usually launch, how you usually do a cooler finisher, how you do your damage finishers, how you do all that, is tied to pressing heavy, which if you have a delim enemy near you, you're gonna OT him. It's gonna prioritize OTing them over anything else, which is obliteration technique, meaning a finisher if someone doesn't know what OT means. And UT means ultimate techniques, which is your charge heavy cutscene attacks. Now, Gleam, Blood Raven. Those are going to be points where I have to shift out of. So I am going to tackle them a little bit later after I say the other few good things about this game. The good things about this game, base game, we still haven't got to the DLC. The base game good things about this is that the ninja trials are there, but they're kind of bad, unfortunately, because they have conditions, the randomizers, the not randomizers, but the modifiers, which is like the worst thing any video game can go through, is having random modifiers, having modifiers that just make you not utilize your kits. I know a lot of people are proud to like post Death Wish, no Nimpo, no weapon, and all that. But in my eyes, it just shows your incapability of controlling your character with all their kit. In my eyes, juggling 3 balls is much simpler than juggling 9 balls. And when you use Death Wish, when you use no Nimpo, when you use no UT, when you don't use your kits, to me, it just looks like you're not capable of utilizing everything. So, as an excuse to boast, you actually lower the depth of the game and lower the skill requirement of it. People are probably going to make the argument that, but it's harder because Death Wish, you don't have health upgrades. And it's like, yeah, but buddy, once you look at it, and like people run Master Ninja Death Wish most of the time to boast. In Master Ninja, you get one-shotted regardless most of the time. So having that health boost does not make a difference. Your kid's like butchered. So now you have to just spam wind run, wind path, guillotine throw into, whatever. Into that. Just shuriken. Blind swallow, shuriken canceled. Guillotine. It just becomes 3 things over and over again until everything dies in a room. But anyways, I got a little sidetracked. Another good thing about this game is that the Nimpos are on Ryu specifically are not tied to some dumb RNG system of like, hey, yeah, you have to get these orbs to be able to use the impo. It's like no, they're they implemented kind of the NG3 version of it, which is like, hey, you can use them as long as you're aggressive with it. Maybe they took it a little too far in this game, but as a compensation, they also made Nimpos much weaker in comparison to the older games, which is fair because you can access them much more if you're good enough, and you can be devastating with Nimpos if you actually utilize them at the correct time. So I think it's fair the way they addressed it. I like it this way more. I would wish that it was a separate bar Titan Nimpo because of issues, which I'll tackle at the very end segment of this. But yeah, Nimpos, I feel like they're very good. Most of the things I'm addressing is based on like one or two playthroughs. So most of the things I'm saying is going to affect you right now, all the goods and bads. It's going to be on your first or second playthrough on normal or hard. This doesn't apply to Master Ninja. Again, that is a discussion that I have to tackle a little bit later in the video. As far as everything else goes in the game, the fact that you can choose characters on any mission, fantastic. I'm glad they kept it like Ninja Gaiden 3 because it was the best version of it. The fact that you can replay the story mode too with the way the story was intended to be played and you switch characters accordingly, it's also nice. The structure of replayability in this game is fantastic. And having purgatory mode, which is practically a, mode where you just fight and it's like a challenge. It's actually a real ninja trial without the modifiers. You actually just fight, clear the room, and you win. The unfortunate thing with that is the in-between phases. But again, that's a negative. I guess we'll tackle that later. I really want to talk about the negatives with this game, but I'm trying to be positive. Now, last thing I'll mention on this is the game feels very good. It is the best feeling Ninja Gaiden, and it shows. It shines the most. It really shows when you're moving in this game. The stages are made vast. They are big. They are spacious as hell. Because the way you can move in this game is insane. It is the best movement of any Ninja Gaiden. It's very smooth. Cancel animations are very generous on movement, on wind path, on flying swallow, spamming, and all that. They're really good when you're moving from point A to point B. It's so good. And it feels great replaying missions because of that. Which is, I think, one of the reasons why people don't like the automated, like surfing and grinding and flying segments. Is because it takes from the fact that you're actually using your movement tech and instead using a movement segment, which feels much worse, especially when you realize that it's just an artificial way to drag the mission out a little bit longer. And everything comes with a caveat in this. There's always something good about it, and there's at least one or two bad things with it. So, as I said, that was the last thing. So, if you want to feel validated that the game is awesome, it's better than any other NG and all that, blah 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 blah. Sure, man. Like it sure does in most areas. Yeah, it does feel better than 2. It does feel better than 3. But as I said, if you just want to be validated, this is your chance to leave because this is my final thoughts. I'm going to be brutal about this game. I'm not going to hold anything back because I want the next game if we'll ever get one. I want the black version. I want the razors. Whatever we get after this, I want it to be perfect or as near as perfect as possible. I want them to not have silly mistakes, silly forgotten things that were already established. So I would say if you have a very, very faint heart and don't want to hear the criticisms, probably leave the video right now because I will not be kind for the rest of this video. Now, for the people that actually want to hear the truth about this game, it is a technical disaster. What do I mean by that is that the game doesn't function the way it should. It's like they didn't think about the repercussions of putting certain things in the game. Very puzzling to me. I'll talk about those in detail with video footage just to prove a very small point of it. But for the most part, some things work. Unfortunately, 90% of the game falls flat on its face because of the way endgame stuff works. The way Master Ninja works, the way the absolute terribly designed Bloody Palace, Abyss Road, as you want to call it. I would call it survival, but it resembles Bloody Palace so much that I would refuse to call it survival, because survival was actually really well designed in NG1 and and NG2, I should say. Actually, it was, I don't think it was called survival in NG1, but you get the gist. But this is Abyss Road is completely and utterly fucking Bloody Palace in the worst way possible. Like, I'm talking worse than DMC2's Bloody Palace. Now, the reason why I didn't bring up Two Masters at all in my good aspects of the game, because there is none, actually. There is no good parts about the Two Masters DLC, aside from the fact that expectations were not met, of course, but, it's not like they lied about it. They were pretty much like, yeah, they have one weapon. We have 3 missions. We have, well, we actually thought they have 2 missions, but they have 3 missions. So, there was no good things with that. You know why? Because the DLC is artificially nonsensical. The best thing about it is the cutscenes, where I am not going to give brownie points to a video game about action when it comes up with good cutscenes, because we all know what that does to the industry. They just start making more fucking movies instead of video games. The cutscenes of Two Masters are good. There's action in them. There's pretty hype moments. A lot of aura farming on both Ryu and Gakumo's face. But this game is not about that. If it was DOA, I would be like, yeah, cool. Another bad thing you just witnessed on screen, actually. Apparently, if you kill a boss with Nimpo as a finishing blow, your Nimpo properties completely disappear. That's why the second boss does not get hit by it. Another dumb design decision, but we'll get to those on the tactical side when I go to the end of the game for the developer, from the developer's perspective. Anyways, the Ninja Trials, the EX chapters, are pretty good. I'll say that. They're good because they actually did what people wanted. There's no modifiers, and you have multi-bosses. People like multi-bosses. I don't know what the hell is wrong with them, but multi-bosses are fun. Thankfully, Team Ninja, or not Team Ninja, but Platinum Games didn't, screw the pooch on this one, and they actually put the difficulty of the fights on hard mode instead of Master Ninja. We'll get to Master Ninja, alright. We'll get to Master Ninja because I have had very strong opinions about how fucking horrible the game is when you play on Master Ninja. It is a technical disaster. But again, developer point of view, not the quote unquote bad parts about it. Because it's not bad on the aspect of the game. Because if you look back to NG3, I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring it up NG3. I feel like it's a disrespect to compare the Master Ninja of this game to Ultimate Ninja on that game, which is a difficulty higher than that. This is the best way to describe Master Ninja in this game would be to Sigma 2's Master Ninja, which is arguably the worst, dumbest, nonsensical, low-effort Master Ninja or high difficulty in any video game you've ever played. But somehow, NG4 tops it with being even more broken, brain-dead, bad, or horribly designed, lazy than Sigma 2, which I thought not possible because in NG2 Sigma, you practically get one-shot by most grabs till halfway through the game once you upgrade your health a little bit more. If you play as Ayane and Momoji, grabs pretty much one-shot you. But I feel like Ayane in Sigma 2 has a better and more fun time during her horrible mission than Ryu or Yakumo has in Master Ninja throughout Two Masters DLC. And the base game. But Two Masters DLC has a special place because the enemy encounters, oh, holy man. But anyways, we'll get to that. As you can see, the trials are fun. Like, this is enjoyable. I'm not running the no damage version of these just yet because you don't get anything, and that doesn't motivate me. Not like I want something out of no damage in game, because no damage should always be an option, not obligation. It should be a self-challenge. Hey, my Nimpo just disappeared. I would have got a double kill here. My fault. I should have used Inferno, I guess. But anyways, now let's order this out a little bit. Let's talk about the small bad things about this game. The small bad things about this game are little things I mentioned, like, UTs don't feel good and all that. Small bad things about this game, and I do say small, and I know a lot of you are gonna feel that I am underselling this, but a small bad thing is the lack of weapons. for Ryu specifically, and lo and behold, it pops up on screen immediately as I call his name. For Ryu, his lack of weapons is very puzzling to me. And the reason why I feel so like dumbfounded by this is because Ryu now has 2 weapons. Yakumo now has 6. If you put both of those numbers together, you would have a total of 10 weapons. Granted, the Dark Dragon Sword for Yakumo is just a watered down version of Ryu's moveset. He's a little bit slower with that weapon. And I don't even know if that's just me or maybe the Two Masters DLC changed something with it, but I feel like Yakumo is way slower with the True Dragon Sword or the Dark Dragon Sword. But anyways, Ryu's lack of weapon doesn't make sense to me because both characters have 4 slots of equipment, right? Now they have 2 slots, so a total of 8 space for choosing weapons. So Yakumo gets 2 extra slots. Ryu gets 2 extra slots. Now, call me dumb, but wouldn't it have been better if Yakumo had 4 weapons and Ryu had 4 weapons? And also his, impos. So that would make sense because you would have 4 weapons on one inventory, and when you switch the inventory, it's just your nimpos. And with Yakumo's case, it would be you will practically just replace your Takaminakata, which is your dual swords, your main dual sword, with the Dark Dragon sword and put it on the other slot and just customize them to be something different. Or have the Blood Raven form of those weapons be the unique thing, right? That goes on the other slot. As in, the normal blades would have properties like the traditional stuff, and like the other slot would be just the Blood Raven form of those weapons. So right, Yakumo would have 8 weapons, and both of his inventory slots would switch to the Dragon Sword if you double tap any of them, right? Or whatever, something like that. Probably not exactly that because that would conflict. But my problem here is Team Ninja actually screwed the potential of Yakumo and Ryu by wanting Platinum Games to limit Yakumo's usage and access to Blood Raven, which is a whole different topic we're going to get into later. I'm saving it because it's one of my biggest frustrations with this game is the dumbass Gleam / Blood Raven meter. Platinum Games wanted Blood Raven and Gleam mode to be a thing you just access within strings and within movesets, not, something that was a resource. That was Team Ninja's decision, which I think was the actual technical downfall of this game was that the game was balanced around Yakumo being able to use Blood Raven weapons at will, not on a resource, not on a button press of like hold this and press that. Same with Ryu's Gleam mode, which makes way more fucking sense once you go to the Two Masters DLC and realize that some of the bosses, specifically Seer, on her final form or her original form, at the end of it has a wipe mechanic where if you don't have bar to use a Blood Raven attack / Gleam attack immediately, you die. You cannot survive that hit. No matter if you pop the defense pill, or no matter if you have full health, doesn't matter. That move one-shots you because it's a wipe mechanic that you quite literally get 2 seconds to react to the second time she does it. So the game is feeling flat in its depth because Team Ninja wanted the game to be limited in the sense of like, hey, Blood Raven and Gleam are too good. Why would the player want to use normal weaponry if these are so good? Well, sweetheart, I'll tell you why the player would use normal weapons. Because people just want to use other weapons. Dante's Rebellion has always been his most busted weapons next to his Gilgamesh or his Gauntlet weapons. People fucking use Lucifer. People use Cerberus in 4. People use Cavalier in 5 and Cerberus in 5. People use Navon. People use all these other weapons. Kratos' hammer in God of War 2 is ass. People use it. The Spear of Destiny is whatever, but people use it. People want to use other weapons. They don't need to be good for us to use it. So, whatever. I guess Team Ninja takes the L on that one. So I'm not going to blame Platinum completely for this. But the fact that Gleam and Blood Raven are limited clearly shows that someone designed this game with a whole different philosophy in mind. But because of time and money, they couldn't change the balancing of the game. And it fucking shows. Why does it show? We'll get to it later. Stay tuned for that fucking mess, because I'm going to be even more unhinged on that one. Now, moving on to my biggest gripe with this game is endgame content. Master Ninja specifically. Master Ninja feels bad. Why does it feel bad? Because you get two-shotted. Why is that a bad thing? Because the enemies are not designed to only hit you twice. Your character is not nimble enough to not get hit all the time. You can be with it. You absolutely can be. But once you take in every single factor in the game that could absolutely decimate you in the span of a second, you realize that this game was not meant to be played like that. There is range enemies that rain down bullets on you, right? Just imagine the situation. You're fighting somebody. There's a target you want to eliminate. There is 3 enemies with guns shooting at you, right? If you stop moving, you die. If you block, you can block 7 hits, and then your guard breaks, and then you're stunned for 2 whole seconds, right? Keep up. If you don't want your guard to break, you have to toggle in Gleam to consume Gleam meter for your guard to sustain, even post the limits. But then your resource drains, so you cannot guard break. You cannot shatter enemies' red attacks. You cannot do a lot of things without Gleam and Blood Raven form. So you see the conflict here. If you are getting two-shotted by the most simplest things in this game, i.e. range attacks, dot attacks, guns, or just being stun locked in a hit, and you die in 2 hits, it doesn't feel like you got punished for poor play. It feels like you got cheated out of a situation. Because most of the time you could be moving, right? And if you press the block button, the game registers your iframes over, and it goes into a block string. Meaning you could be mid-air wind pathing, and if you press the block button to slide or to just do anything with it, the game fucks you into being like, hey, your iframes are over, now you're blocking. And guess what? Enemies shoot at least like 15 times within a volley. You only can take 7 shots before your guard breaks. That is assuming no other enemies interact with you at that point, which is impossible because on Masked Ninjas, enemies tend to stay closer to you. So you are most likely going to be swarmed across every single encounter, which is the only counter for is to keep moving all the time. Guillotine throw, wind path. But then, this is the issue that starts. Not all humanoid enemies can be wind path, and not all human enemies can be guillotine through. So, you can, of course, you can argue like, hey, pick your enemies. Sure, I'll pick my enemies because I know which ones you can wind path on and which ones you can't guillotine throw. I'll pick those. But is the game going to allow me to pick that? Is the game going to allow me to pick the target? No, because the targeting and the soft lock system in this game is horrible. And the lock-on mechanic is even worse because it's a toggle. Why is the lock-on a toggle? Don't know. Well, you know what's worse about it? It's like, hey, you can put it to like toggle and put it on the button you can control, like L2. Sure, I'll do that. Now, how do you activate Berserk mode? Or True Dragon form? Oh, you have to press L3 and R2. Or you have to press R3 and L2. It's like, that is a horrible button combination to do. Why can't I just have Berserk mode attached to one button? Who fucking knows? L3, R3, boom, go burr. So, everything in this game conflicts with itself. It's not that, oh, this situation can be avoided. It's like, no, you avoid this situation and there's 40,000 other things that could go wrong. Not on the combats, but on the technical field. On your menuing, on your button presses, they can go wrong because the game is just not designed to handle all of it. A lot of it comes down to the very simple fact that you have resources to manage, like the Berserk, like the Gleam mode. Why does Berserk drain? Why the hell is your super mode that takes forever to build up drain over time because you're simply out of combat, which you always have to do because you have to move between stages. Why does it drain over time? And you've designed the stages massively, so it takes time to get to the next encounter. And no matter what you do, it always drains. There's no iframes you can bypass it with mid traversal. You can't wall run to cancel it. You can't flying swallow to cancel the drain. And it's always draining. I guess on the plus side, your gleam meter is also redraining on your traveling. But if your gleam meter is empty and your berserk meter is full, your berserk meter will drain faster than your gleam will return. So, just put into perspective why this game is just horribly designed. And I'm gonna blame it on Team Ninja for for forcing Platinum to limit Gleam and Blood Raven form. Case in point, right here, my guard already broke. Why can't I move and I'm stun locked into a different hit? What the hell is that all about? Again, everything falls flat on its face because the game is just designed like that. But some people, and I will say this, some people do enjoy this difficulty curve of like, hey, I like being two-shotted, I like being one-shot. It feels like old Ninja Gaiden. Except that just shows you're not, I was gonna say fake fan, but like NG really doesn't have a true fan because most NG players pick a game and they just die by it. People that love NG1, they don't give a fuck about NG2. People that love NG2, they don't give a fuck about any other game. Not even the same game with different titles on it. People that love whatchamacallit, NG3 don't exist. I'm the only one. I'm kidding. There's a lot of you out there. You're just scared to come out because you don't want to deal with the NG2 guys. It's fine. I understand. And NG4 is kind of in the same boat as 3 now, that if you like 4, it's like, yeah, you like 4, you're not a true NG fan. It's like, dude, there's no such thing. There is like a total of like 5 people on the planet that like every single game. Even JTB doesn't like, he's like the NG1 guy, right? Even JTB doesn't like every single game. He enjoys playing them, but he only likes one. He appreciates the others, but he only likes one. I only like 3 of them. And you'll be surprised which one I don't like, which is a crime, but everybody's entitled to their opinion, even if they're wrong in your. But point aside, if you do like the difficulty of Master Ninja, it's fine. Like, if that's what pops up the dopamine and adrenaline in your head, okay, go for it. Get your serotonin, that way. I don't care. If you like it, you like it. It doesn't change the fact that the game is designed like garbage. Like in encounters like this, right? You see, I'm mostly dodging, but I'm still getting into a block frame because I'm trying to slide again to initiate iframes, but I'm mid-air. So the game is like, oh, iframe's over, blocking now, mid-air. Like, cool, thanks, man. Now I gotta reinitiate a slide into a jump because you wanted to fucking take control of what I wanted to do. But the difficulty is set on hard mode, meaning you can take a hit, meaning those mistakes that the game puts you in, literally the game's automated systems force you to take a hit. But thankfully, the difficulty prevents you from getting punished to a point of, hey, restart. Here's another point of me nimpoing and not getting my kill because, hey, you know what? That property disappears. Why? It's piercing void. It's just void if it's not piercing anything. But anyways. Now, without harping on this any longer, sure, you guys are not going to see the end of this, but I'm going to go immediately into this thing. My biggest disappointment with NG4 is the fact that they did not fix anything. And I do mean anything. Even the ones they listed didn't get fixed. So, the patch notes here, fuck everything else. The patch notes here. Universal, Fatal Flash, up until the moment required to perform Fatal Flash, right? Invincibility. You have iframes. They say they fixed it, that you have full iframes when you initiate Fatal Flash. So if you press triangle or light into an attack and you initiate that block stun, you have iframes up until the moment you can perform a perfect Fatal Flash, which is a small window where you have to press the button and you get the powered up or the strongest version of Fatal Flash. That's a good change. It has worked. It is the only fucking one that I asked for. They went through with it, and it's good because you know what? Why would you get punished? And this doesn't apply to the rest of them. It's just on Fatal Flash. If you perfect block, same fucking story. You perfect block, you are stunned into the perfect block animation. And if somebody hits you within that duration, and if you dared let go of the L1, you get hit. So this only applies to Fatal Flash. They also increased the iframes of a lot of back, forward, and 360 motions of a lot of weapons. Now, to give him credit, when using Twin Blades, Takami Nakata can cancel out a mid-air triangle heavy attack after striking the ground. If you watch Farnham's stream, which he deleted sadly, of NG4, the one thing he noticed immediately, he did an air heavy, and he was stuck in the animation for literally 2 seconds. The golden rule in NG is 30 frames or you die. If you are locked in position for more than a second, for more than literally half a second, you will fucking die. You are dead. You are going to get hit. If you're playing on higher difficulties, you're absolutely dead. With just the first hit, or the grab, or whatever. And when using Twin Blades, can cancel mid-air triangle into ultimate technique of striking the ground. So you can, do your like UTs and all that after that. So these are good. These are quality of life, but it's only for one fucking weapon. Slightly increase the homing properties of Wind Run. Fake. They haven't. You know why? Because the targeting is the problem. The soft lock is the problem. This doesn't improve, or this doesn't remove the situation at all. This improves the things that happen that can go wrong, but Wind Run always tracks. It always does. And again, they haven't. Because my soft lock is prioritizing a target in front of me, right? Like 10 feet away. My soft lock is on it. I lock onto that target 10 feet away from me. There's 2 people within 2 feet of me. Guess what Wind Run does? Drops on those 2 close to me, not the person I'm locked onto and holding the direction towards. They don't fucking track. That has not improved. Slightly increase the home properties of Wind Run. Robot enemies will now drop essence when you defeat them. Fucking amazing change. Why didn't they from the get-go? They're the most annoying enemy types, and they don't drop essence. They don't even get one shot. You need minimum 4 hits to kill them. And they blow up afterwards, and they don't even drop essence. You're risking your life to kill an enemy that spawns in masses, projectiles you non-stop, and they also blow up after you kill them? And they didn't drop fucking essence? Remember Ghostfish? They fucking drop essence. Fuck, the goddamn mini sharks drop essence, and they only get 2-shotted. Like, what was the thought process there? But at least they fixed it, and if the game feels much better that way, much better that way. Adjusted the transparency of enemies in front of the camera to improve visibility during combat. That's good, but that's not the issue. The issue is that I can't change my fucking camera. You wouldn't need to do this if I could just move my camera during Nimpo, during UTs, during OTs, during all these situations where I need to know what's going on around me. But the game is like, hey, you have iframes, you'll be fine as soon as you come out of it, which is why I have saved this video. This video is going to solidify everything I've been saying. If you think I'm a crazy person hating on the game, there is 6 minutes of solid hard fucking facts in front of you. So, and I just showed you pretty much my skill level of this game. So if you think I'm mediocre and just hating on this game, well, watch my playlist and no damage runs. I'm not trying to hate on the game. I love the game. I just want it to be fucking better. I gotta stop swearing. I'm trying to be professional on this. Anyways, slightly reduced loading times. That's good for people that die a lot, which is gonna happen to a lot of us. Fixed an issue which made targeting of landing ultimate techniques and unreliable when there is no directional input following the wind path. Oh yeah? Oh yeah. Watch this shit. Really now? Tracking on ultimate technique after wind path with no directional has been improved. Why did Yakumo just miss the fucking biggest target in the game when I was 2 inches away from him? Very curious about that. There is no bigger enemy than this that's not a boss. And I just went straight through him. I paused the game. I was so fucking fed up with it. Anyways. Fixed an issue that resulted in missing invincible frames during a follow-up heavy attack Mirage after a perfect reverse wind. I can tell you that Platinum Games does not know what the fuck iframes are. The current Platinum Games doesn't know what the fuck iframes are. And again, we'll get to it. We'll get to it, sweetheart. Made it less likely to fall off ledges when performing when path with jump shuriken. I will agree. They have made it less likely, which is exactly what it says. It's less likely, but it still fucking happens. Chapter 6, Gaiden wins. These are just issues for chapters, so it doesn't matter. But most of these issues, one issue was fixed, which was this, but the other version of the same fucking issue are still there. I don't know why they didn't fix those. An improvement was Burabar enemies dropping essence. Welcome. Very, very welcome. I canceled out of the stupidest attack. Good. I'll give him some credit. Now, let's go into why. This is a very cool video I've made, by the way. If you guys want to check it out on my Twitter, probably go check it out. I'm proud of it. But let's get into this wonderful thing. Shit that has not been listed. So this is on the technical form. So, wow. English, hard. This is on the technical form of how I view the game as a developer. And I think this inconsistency here in this game is very, very nonsensical. Because this wasn't a thing before Two Masters came out. You see that shit? Walk me down this. You see the essence? Essence absorb. I still get blocked. Why does your ultimate technique get blocked after you use ultimate guidance? The only way to never have your UT blocked is when you use ultimate guidance. Why is that happening now? And why hasn't it been addressed yet? You have to fix these things. These are issues that weren't there before. They're not in the patch notes, so it's not like you intended to add it. Why is this happening? And there's multiple instances. Not just bosses. I had it happen on like normal enemies. Like actually normal enemies. I think this is another instance of it. Is that I spawn the essence using backlash parry, and he just blocks it. And no, it's not because of dodging, because dodging doesn't allow them to block. It's not because they're sidestepping. I have hidden them when they're doing that. There's a strat actually to hit them while they're sliding, because that's what you want them to do. That doesn't have a block property on it. And oh god, if this is the clip I think it is. Watch this. So you see that I have full health. I am not having any modifiers on. I have full health. I'm dead. I'm dead because I tried to interact with a mechanic in the game. I was trying to backlash parry there, and I just died. Just based off one hit. And this one is even more entertaining, because look how smooth this fight goes. Look how smooth. This was my second attempt at it, so it's still like rough. Like I don't know the movement. I still have my timing for it. My timing is godlike. I'll say that one thing. I can react to anything very fast. I filmed through the grab because I know she was going to do it. Like, she's getting decimated. Everything's calculated. Everything she's doing is getting parried or dodged or something. I'm interacting with everything in the game. Right? Here's the funny thing about this. After I finish this UT, situation gets really messy. I hit the Nimpo. I'm like, okay, she's still in the animation. She's not supposed to cancel this animation that fast, right? She canceled out of it. The fucking goddamn hammers weren't even completely on her back yet before they spawned in and she went into the grab animation. I committed to one extra attack. I'm sorry. That's my fault. But what the fuck does a grab have to do one-shotting you on Master Ninja like that? If you had the defense pill, you still would have died here. This would have still killed you most likely with the defense pill. I don't use items, so I cannot guarantee that. Why is this a thing? It is a grab, right? It is a grab that homes in, is fast, and tracks. Why does it have everything? And you sure as shit can't interrupt it. It's not a red attack that I can break her out of it. No, it's like, it's a grab. She's going to reach out to you. She's going to track your side movements. And it has active frames. It's not a frame where it grabs you. It has active frames where it can grab you. Why is that a thing? But that's not even the worst of it. It just gets worse as time goes on with this shit. Why is that a thing? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, when you, and again, when I said Platinum doesn't know, the current Platinum doesn't know what the hell iframes are. This is what I'm talking about. when you cancel out of um or when you go into any type of iframe move like Izuna drop, UTs, Nimpos, or like anything that gives you iframes, right? The first action that takes priority is blocking. You cannot dodge, you cannot wind path, you cannot jump, and nothing else takes priority. Your block overwrites everything. So what I usually do is mash buffer all three of my options. So I'm block sliding and trying to wind path at the same time because wind path does have or wind run has um iframes at the start of it. But block always takes property, right? And because I have Gleam active in this case, when I'm trying to Nimpo, I'm forced blocked. I am forced to block because it's the only thing I can do before this hits me. If I would have tried to buffer Wind Run, I would have got hit into this because it has a really active attack frame animations, and that goes for pretty much every attack in the game. It is the attacks are not on like just hit. They're active before, during, and after. So that thing could have been behind me and it would have still clipped me if I try to wind path it or wind run, right? No way I could have slide because guess what you have to do to slide? Hold the block button, press the direction. So guess what the game forces you to do? It prioritizes the block. This is the developer side of it, by the way. We're done with the bad, but most of the things are bad now. The problem, the fucking horrible problem here is that when you block, you have a limit of 7 hits. You can't block red attacks, which is mostly what enemies opt to do when you're coming out of iframes. They buffer up red attacks, the things that bypass your block. But the game prioritizes your first defensive moves that you can commit to by blocking. Technically a fucking disaster because you can't fucking block certain things. You have to iframe certain things. You can't backlash in this case because again, buffer, the fucking block button is the first thing the game takes priority over. Backlash, or sorry, the Gleam parry you might be able to do, and it does happen sometimes, but guess what? My Gleam was already active, so I can't Gleam parry now. You know why I can't Gleam parry? Because it's a projectile. Projectiles can only be backlash. You cannot Gleam parry projectiles. If it was a melee hit, you might have been able to time it if you were not in Gleam or Blood Raven, but because I'm doing an Nimpo, I'm pre-gleamed. I'm gleamed up. I'm all glazed up right now. And so this results in me losing all my resource based off of one situation that the game forced me into. Look at how much meter I have. And it's all gone because the game forced it upon me, right? Combine this to the fact that this boss specifically has a wipe mechanic that if you don't have resources, you are dead. So this means if that situation that just happened would have happened at the very end of this fight, I would have been dead. Which, believe it or not, has happened multiple times because I've tried to no damage this fucking asshole multiple times. I would still say she's a fun boss if she didn't have the most horrible iframes and attack frames I've seen in video game hack and slash history. Like, absolutely, this is like some like I don't even have an example. I actually don't even have an example because the active frame she has is just nonsense. Her like she could have her hammer up in her head, ready to attack, and before she even moves it from above her head, the attack comes out. Now, the case of the Nimpo, and this is the most frustrating thing in this for me personally because I utilize resources very, very, very cleverly because I'm trying to get damage or avoid damage. Now, look at this situation. Remember when Hayashi-san and Itagaki-san, God bless his soul, came up with the idea of like Itagaki came up with the idea that hey, you should probably aim Nimpo because you want to see what you're targeting, right? And Platinum came in and was like, hey, let's remove that because fuck that. Why would we want the player to see what the fuck they're shooting at? Just shoot it, motherfucker. Because shit like this happens. I can't see what's coming. And guess what, guys? Guess what, guys? What is the first thing you can buffer when you're coming out of iframes? Blocking. What can't you block? Fucking grabs. Cool. Sure, my mistake. But why am I dying for the game forcing me into a position again? Why is a grab of that caliber, fast homing, tracking almost one-shot me on this. On the other boss, it just one-shots you. On this boss, it leaves you at 1 HP. Like, very cool, man. Doodles. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember some of my videos when I talked about rule of thumb with that. So, again, let's break this one down. Full health. I could not have buffered Gleam before you asked, because I already tried to attack, because I thought he was going to just, be in recovery, because he just fucking dodged. So I did the slash, so I was like, I'm not going to have enough time to do a Gleam attack. Let me dodge out. The rule of thumb of making moves like this is that you always make the hurt box of set move smaller than the visual effects. As a game developer, it is the most basic shit you'll do when designing combat is like, hey, this is the zone of attack that you're going to take damage, right? You're going to extend it by like a pixel or two, just so you know how far you should be out of it, right? So you make a circle, hypothetically, and then you outline that circle with like this big red light that, that what you need to be outside. And when they're past that red light, you don't get hit, right? I am outside the fucking fire, as you can see here. The fire ends here. The fire ends here. The fire... It's not here. It's not on me. I'm not in it. But it fucking hit me, right? So misrepresentation of hurt box via visual effects. And guess what? Empty health bar. I am one shot. This guy has bullets. He can shoot me to death. He continues shooting forever if he ever gets you. And if you think the fire one was like, hey, you're definitely in the fire, how do you explain this one? You see the line? You see the fucking line, man? Oops, I went way too far forward. Oh, we get to that one too. This is the hop, right? Yeah. So it's like, I'm out of the range. Why does that hit me? But here we go. This one again. I got frustrated during this. This is the boss that gives me the most trouble. But this one is even more funnier. Because, look, the wind visual effects, right? It's like, this is it, right? This is it. The slashes are here. That's just the fucking wind outline. I am outside of it. And I'm dead. I was missing health on that one, so fine. So as I said, the basic game development shit that they just don't comprehend it. I'll talk about milliseconds and human reaction time at the end of the video, because I think like most of you are going to be checked out by this point. Because holy fuck, right? This guy is just bitching about everything about the game. Who wants to listen to this asshole? Cool. But you remember when I was talking about blocking mid-air and getting stun locked into a block and then fucking dying because the game just wants to kill you? You see that shit? Do you see that shit? I dodged. I knew my position was bad, so I tried to get out. Guess what happened here? I buffered wind path into a flying swallow because I wanted to kill the guy trying to shoot me, right? Guess what didn't come out? The wind path didn't come out. And I got fucking stuck into blocking the bullets because it is just non-stop fucking firing at me, right? From heaven, apparently. That guy wasn't even on screen, right? As I'm blocking this, unblockable rockets coming my way, and an AoE attack on the floor just went off, and I'm dead. You could just say that, hey, you got overwhelmed and you didn't use your guillotine throw and all that stuff. Thanks for you for twerking at the end. But hey, again, I wasn't even supposed to be in this situation because the game just didn't fucking register my wind path. You know all that talk they said about wind path having more fucking tracking and all that shit? Cool, dude. The main action, the main issue, the main problem is that I can't even fucking initiate it half the time because the buffer windows on this game are fucking horrible. And this one is going to follow up with a DMC clip afterwards because I'm going to show something very interesting to you. What the fuck is that range? And I'm moving fully. I am fully mobile. And he hit me. What is that range? What is that tracking? Why do they uh, magnetize towards you so much? That's not the right word either. All right, it's like, okay, let me kill him. Not this. You see that shit? On the floor, still recovering. I'm attacking his buddy. He got up blocking. He's not even my issue anymore. I'm not even caring about him, but he's blocking. I launch this guy. First hit on my launcher blocks. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna react. I'm gonna break it. And then I want to continue it. He blocks again, knocks me out of it. And this is the moment where I checked out because I was like, hey, what's the fucking point of me using my resource to break guard if they're going to guard again after one hit? When I say the game doesn't function at all, like technically it's a fucking mess. It's a disaster. It is dysfunctional. It is actually doesn't work. I don't know whose idea was to put one core mechanic on fucking block and on a resource. But you know what my opinion is on this? The way to fix this: heavy attacks, block, or break any type of block stun. Anything. Anything. If they are blocking, if I do a heavy string transition, if I do heavy 360, if I do heavy back forward, anything heavy I do with my triangle heavy attacks, it breaks their fucking guard. Right? Because situations like this are just nonsensical. And not only that, right? Okay, you block. It's like, look at this. Look at this. But after this Izuna drop happens, the game just says, we don't like you being this high up. Okay. Boom, reacted, broke it, switch weapons to do it again because I want to Izuna drop him. Nope, blocked again. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just going to jump and do my Gleam heavy because that tracks and it breaks guard, so there's no way you're going to block this, right? Mid-attack. Mid-fucking attack, guy. Mid-attack. Watch this shit. The enemy initiated an attack. He's dashing to slash at me, and I am doing this. Guess what? The enemies are designed periodically, by the way. They're not resourced. They're not conditioned periodically on a timer. It's like they have a fucking cooldown on this thing to dodge you up to 5 times. It could be in succession. If imagine like this, every 5 seconds, one enemy can dodge 5 attacks you do, no matter what the sequence is, right? And he decided to do this at this exact moment where Homeboy over there is doing an unblockable shuriken, which I dodged, and I went in with another Gleam because I was tired of them blocking me. So I'm like, okay. And then I come across the 5th incident. I'm like, okay, I used the rest of my least resource to fucking knock you down, to just get rid of you. He's not even done hitting the floor. I slash at him, he gets up blocking. And before you say, hey, just use your berserk meter to get meter back, yeah, do you have any idea what the fuck is awaiting me on 84? On 85? No, you probably don't. You most likely didn't get this far out. But it is a nightmare wave on 85 because it's a fucking boss that 2-shots you. I'm trying to save berserk so I can stun him and fucking make meter. I checked out here. I was just done blocking. I was done dodging. And then I died by shurikens that I couldn't even see because the stage is so dim fucking lit. I couldn't even see it. I was blocking. I don't know what hit me out of block stun. But as you can see, you see me holding that shit. And I just got hit through it. And I had Gleam active too. So, as you saw, my Gleam was active and I still had resources to block, but the game just said, fuck you. And just killed me. And I just checked out. At that point is where I took to Twitter and said, I think Sigma 2's balancing was better than Ninja Gaiden 4. Which is an absolute true statement. Sigma 2, and this is where I'm going to get into the human reaction times and all that. Sigma 2, despite being you just die in 2 hits, right? Despite being that, the game was designed around human reaction speed. Most humans have a reaction time of between 180 minimum milliseconds. 180 milliseconds minimum, all the way up to the 500 to 700 milliseconds range, right? So that's like slightly above half a second. That's your average human reaction. If you're really god tier, you can hit 150 milliseconds or even higher, but like you need insane reaction time or eye adjustments to it, right? This is gonna get very nerdy, and I'm gonna mute this shit because, anyways, another instance of me getting blocked, by the way. My UT just got blocked. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I'll let this one play out afterwards. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because let me go back to this so you guys have something to watch. Games are designed around human capabilities and human reaction time. With fighting games, if you play Tekken, if you play Street Fighter, if you play Dead or Alive, some attacks are designed for you to not be able to react to them, because it would be insane if your opponent is so god tier they can react to you pressing a 10 frame jab. It's like, hey, how do you compete with someone that can block in 10 frames? You can't. You just can't. You just bet your best chance to catch them pressing buttons or press a button before they press a button. It's like, it's impossible, right? So they design moves for players that can react to it. They make, like 22 frame lows that are reactable, and if you block it, you can kill your opponent with it. Or like, moves that are visually give you an A. It's like, hey, this guy is going to spin and do this one, so you can option select it by just throwing out a jab or sidestepping or fucking jumping. Or in some cases, very rarely, and they try to avoid doing this as much as possible. In some cases, you can audio confirm. It's like, hey, the character did this grunt, like Tua, and it's, okay, I know what comes after Tua. He's going to do this like mid. That's this slow. If I do it, if I block it this way, I can react to it. Right? You can adjust your reaction time speed based on these properties that moves have. Again, this is going to get very nerdy. I apologize if most of you have lost me, but you can probably tune out by now. I'm not going to give the game a rating, or it's just me breaking down why this game's ass sometimes. Is they design fights, they design characters, they design fighting games, they design everything around what humans are capable of. Your average human. Not people like me, not people like fucking, I don't know, the style players or the combo mad players or people that run no damages or do fucking, speed run. They don't build the games around those people, because those people are not going to play the bills. They're not going to, as you've seen back 10 years ago, when games are too hard, people check out. Ninja Gaiden was too hard, people didn't play it. People didn't even buy it. But there was a shift in the industry. And yes, I'm coming back to FromSoft. Of course, I'm going to blame FromSoft for everything that went wrong with the fucking industry. But on an unrelated note, it's not because of difficulty in getting two-shot, because NG always had you getting destroyed in a couple of hits, right? That's not the thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about player reactions right now, not difficulty curves. So most moves are designed for you to be able to react to it, right? In an action game like this, most moves have to be designed for you to be able to react to. Why? Because you're not always fighting one opponent. You're fighting multiple ones. The reason why most people find DMC5 very easy is because the animations of enemies are very telling. You can exactly tell what move the enemy is going to do when they do it, because no attack in that game is built for you not to be able to react to. Unless when you're fighting one-on-one against Virgil or bosses, right? You know why it's like that? Because you're never fighting one opponent. You're always fighting multiple ones. So you have to, as a player, look enemy 1, enemy 2, enemy 3, enemy 4, enemy 5, enemy 6, and etc., etc., etc. You keep going. You're analyzing which one is doing something, right? So Suzuki-san, being the god he is when it comes to combat design, and Kamiya as well, they designed the game built around, it's like, okay, if a human, let's hypothetically say this human, most of the people are going to play this game, the average reaction time is 400. They're going to meet you halfway mark. 400 milliseconds is your average reaction time. So if you are all between that, you're going to be able to look at a couple of enemies before you know, oh, that one's going to attack, and that attack's going to hit me at this frame, so I'm just going to dodge or reposition or do this and do that. The reason why DMC feels easy is because most people nowadays have really good reaction time because of how long they've been gaming. So they adjust. They adjust to that. So you can react, you can answer to all the enemies, what the enemy's doing. In NG's case, NG4 specifically, that's not the fucking case, man. Enemies come at you with like 500 milliseconds attack multiple times. Shit that you cannot react to. Shit that you can only manipulate if you set them up for it. And that's not good game design. That is terrible game design. I'm not saying everything should be reactable, because you cannot react to everything. You know why? Because there's 40 fucking enemies on screen. There's no way you're going to be able to analyze every single one before one of them attacks you, right? At most, what you can do in a situation like that, and this is why I don't know what the fuck's wrong with Platinum with this game. They designed this game that multiple enemies attack you at the same time. There's no off-screening, which I'm fine with. Off-screen camera, I think, is a little dumb, especially in a game like DMC where not a lot of enemies have long-range attack. Off-screening them to not make them move is kind of like extra. DMC4 and DMC3 I can understand, but not DMC5. Off-screening them would be dumb in this, but if there's one game that could use it, would be this game, the way it's fucking designed, because enemies off-range fucking don't stop shooting. You don't even know where they're shooting from. You just get this gray purple, very dim indication. It's like, hey, you're gonna get fucked from this direction. Good luck knowing what the hell is gonna happen. And you just catch a rocket to the face because you tried to block a bullet. It's really dumb. Now, to segue into back to the blocking thing, you know how you make a blocking system work? You know how this is ass because I just blocked the enemy, knock him down, he gets up, blocks, or I just broke his guard, knocked him down, and he gets back up blocking again. You know how you fix that? You actually put a fucking mechanic in the game that incentivizes you breaking guards. Look at this. Both of these enemies, I spawned in. I literally spawned in. I'm looking at both of these guys. Yeah, what's happening? Oh, both of them did their spin attack. I know what my guard break is. Boom, boom. Now, not only they can't do that attack, they can't do any unblockables. They cannot block me anymore. They cannot bounce my attacks up. So they're free to die, right? I have created an opportunity to take out two hostiles in this situation, right? You cannot do that in Ninja Gaiden. You do not create opportunities in Ninja Gaiden. You make an opening and you hope to God the enemies don't decide to randomly take that opportunity away from you. I forgot what happens here. Oh yeah. So this will be the last point I bring up. Hurt boxes in this game are beyond bad. Shit just misses, especially if you have the Dragon Sword, because the game was not designed around Ryu. It just wasn't. Ryu is just this afterthought that I think Team Ninja pushed for. The reason why I say that is because how many attacks have you tried to Gleam attack and it just doesn't work? If you try to do Dark Gleam or Normal Gleam with Ryu or Yakumo, some attacks just don't hit. Not only the weapon doesn't have a long range attack, which tends to be what most enemies do, they get into the air and they start doing unblockable, which Ryu has no way to respond to fast enough because his Nimpo takes forever to spawn in, so you're not going to do it unless you pre-prepped it, and none of his Gleam attacks hit. So, me knowing that information, I was like, fuck that. I'm going to do this. And the game was like, fuck you. You're going to die. Because we wanted to make the hurt box of a teleporting slash smaller than, like, look where her feet is. How is none of those hit? As I said, the game NG feels good when you're playing at a base level. It feels amazing if you're first time at playing it. It feels really fun going through it. But if you are a dedicated player trying to fucking grind this game, do all the end game content, I'm fucking sorry, but you do not deserve the headache this game gives you. You should value your time and like mental stability a little bit more than this game, because it is not designed with the player's like state of mind intact. It's not. It is not designed well at all on a technical level. It is a modern masterpiece disaster. It'll satisfy your average purchaser, and it will torment your long-term fans, your long-term players. And I think that is a game that has no business sustaining its existence in the franchise. What I'm hoping for this game to accomplish, not this game, but the next engine Gaiden to accomplish, is to remove and address all these stuff. Because the player should never not have control over their characters just because they initiate the iframe. The player should never be forced into an option when they have other options of them. The player should never be subjugated to no damage in everything because the game forces them to. Running a no damage should be an option, not an obligation, as I said before. Just because I'm playing on the hardest difficulty doesn't mean that I want every enemy to one-shot me. Especially because of the fact that most of the time, Despite you playing perfectly, you still suffer because the game wants you to have a bad time. As I said, if you enjoy this game and the way it treats you, that's fine. I'm glad you're having fun with it. I'm just sorry for myself, I guess, because I don't see why you enjoy getting a subpar product. Hopefully, with some feedback and constructive criticism, they can at least add one more patch that fixes, hopefully, most of these issues. Truly, most of these issues, not with the last patch where it only fixed 3 things out of the 10 things they listed. Honestly, the as an overall, like, I'm not there's not gonna be a scoring system for this, but like I feel I do know that this is a good product. I just don't know why it insists on shooting itself in the feet at every single turn. I do think Ninja Gaiden 4 is absolutely worth picking up and playing, and I do absolutely think that you will love playing this game. But once you start doing end game content as a long term fan, that's when you're going to really not like your time on this game. Most of you will not. The misrepresentation of Ryu and how they treated him as a character will never sit well with me. The fact that his weapon, I'm bringing this up last because I'm tired of you guys talking about it, so I'm going to bring this up as a last topic. Ryu getting his new quote unquote weapon is the biggest fuck you I've ever seen any video game give to their long term fans in the Ninja Gaiden franchise. Even 3 had some decency in adding 2 more weapons in the forms of Falcon Talons and the Eclipse Scythe to NG3, and they had a full move set and a lot of good capabilities and properties. Ryu's weapon feels like it is the most low effort, mediocre, and hey, look, you can grapple and pull. Like it's like when I'm not gonna bring drugs into this, but like it gives you a high. It gives you like a small high, and it just drains out. It's like, hey, yeah, cool, I can drag myself and pull enemies. And then you realize that, hey, he doesn't have strings, and the strings he does have do absolutely nothing. The most useful thing this weapon has for it, in terms of quote unquote alternative strings, is the 360 square, which is a AoE launcher. But guess what? There's no true follow up to it because you have to do a heavy into a pull afterwards to actually even position yourself well. But because your elevation is so low, you can't really do much with it because the game is just going to be like, you're going to get hit by other enemies around you. And that's not even talking about the fact that they just reused animations for this thing. When you delimb legless enemies, Ryu just does his dragon finisher. When you're doing UT, your UT finisher is just that. His light, heavy string is the same animation of his UT finisher with the dragon sword. And he swings up in the air and then swings diagonally. It's like I found it very disrespectful. I did not like this weapon, especially when Yakumo got so many cool and unique animations for his weapon. I get it that Platinum Game wanted to make an impression with Yakumo for their company and what they can represent, on top of the fact that just their character. But it should not have come at the cost of belittling Ryu so much. I held back my criticism of this game because I was hoping that when the DLC came out, Ryu gets a true weapon. I was at least hoping for it to maintain the same amount of like depth that the Dragon Sword had in terms of movesets, the quantity of moves you can do. Not only doesn't maintain that, it doesn't even have as much moves as a single Yakumo weapon, just in its base form, because it doesn't even have a unique gleam attack. It just has Dragon Sword gleam attacks. And before somebody says that, hey, Gleam is only accessible in, this animation, not that one. That animation is his UT finisher. It even ends the same way. But as I was saying, not only he doesn't have Gleam attacks, he's always was able to do teleportation Gleam attacks with other weapons. Falcon Talons in 2 and in G3 especially, right? The Lunar Staff, what he can do with Tonfa's Kusarigama, he does have clean teleportation attacks with other weapons. It is Ryu's ability to move that fast. It's not the Dragon Sword allowing him to do it. So it has no continuity ties to why he doesn't get a unique gleam attack. It's just flat out laziness. Maybe they didn't have time, maybe they didn't have money, maybe all the above. Who knows? But if you shoved 6 weapons for one character and 2 weapons for another character, when each character has 4 slots, it clearly shows a representation bias. That representation bias does not sit well with me considering the game is called Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden is associated with Ryu as the main character. Right? When DMC sidelined Dante, they didn't give him one weapon and took away all his styles. Right? They didn't do that. He maintained all his weapons, he maintained all his styles, and he arguably has the most depth any character action game that I fucking even hate saying character action. Any hack and slash game has. Dante is on peril. He has 3 weapons and all his style, and he has more depth than any character ever created, still to this fucking day. They could have done the same to Ryu. They could have just given 4 weapons. They could have literally just given him the Falcon Talons, Eclipse Sight, Dual Swords, slash Kusarigama, and the Dragon Sword, and he would have been just complete. But not only he feels neutered down, it feels like they actively went out of their way to disrespect it. I'm not saying it's deliberate, but it does not sit well with me at all. It never did. Even on those videos a year ago where I was defending, it's like, hey, let's give them a chance. Let's see what they'll cook up eventually. They didn't cook up anything. The kitchen's on fire. The dishes are made out of shit. Nothing's good with Ryu. He feels amazing. He just feels good. Feels really fun to play. His nipples feel really nice. But the fact that he got sidelined in the story, got sidelined in content, he got sidelined in missions, he got sidelined in fucking getting weapons. He even got sidelined in the DLC. Which I'm not going to talk too much about it because I think the DLC is horrible on the sense of like longevity, it's bad. But when it comes to, yeah, it does have content. The story is pretty decent. I think the story is better than the base game story, funny enough. And the mission structure is more akin to older Ninja Gaiden instead of these vast levels you traverse through. It's like, hey, hallway, arena, hallway, arena, hallway, arena. You guys like that shit, I guess, because that's what they did instead of giving you like NG1 peak game design, peak level design. But oh well, that's what we got. I'm hoping this game will get enough support to get another DLC. I want Ryu to have more weapons. I want Ryu to have more moves. I want Ryu to have full weapons, not a slap-on animation shifted lazy weapon. I don't. It does have cool properties, don't get that wrong, but I'm gonna sound greedy here, but like this could have had so much more. And that's what burns me, is because I'd see the potential this game could have had with proper care, and it just doesn't. Whether it was Microsoft's decision to rush the game or Team Ninja's decision to limit what Platinum Game can do with Ryu, or maybe Platinum Game's shortcomings with wanting to focus on Yakumo more rather than Ryu. I don't know what it was. I am not on that development team. I am not going to talk about what could have been the ideology behind it. I'm just going to say that I'm not happy with how Ryu turned out and being treated in this game. But with that being said, as always, I do recommend this game. You're absolutely going to love playing this game. You are going to enjoy every second of it, most likely. You're going to love the set pieces of this game. What you're not going to like is, if you're like me, you like the nitty gritty of everything, you want to get into everything, you're not going to enjoy it because there's a lot wrong with this game. Once you get past the pretty little wallpaper they've set up for you, you see that you are in a broken house that's been freshly painted over rotten, termite-eaten wood, which is what the state of Platinum is right now after Kamiya left, for the most part, and after the recent failures with live service games. This is a good direction for them. I just hope they can polish it up a little bit more under no restrictions. I do want Platinum to make more uh, video games that represent their knowledge of action games, because it is a very hard profession to do, to make true action games nowadays. It's very exhausting. I've said it nonstop every chance I've gone, because I have done it, and it is a nightmare to do it. It's really just making the player not fall through the map takes like months and months of work. Believe it or not. If you don't believe me, go play DMC Devil May Cry. You'll fall through the floor every two missions, every two areas probably. It's because the team doesn't have the experience. Even though Capcom chimed in to help them, the team just didn't have the experience to not make it happen. Plus, Unreal is ass, so sad. But anyways, I've rambled long enough. It's been almost an hour. I think it has been an hour. Yeah, it's been an hour and 25 minutes. So I'm not gonna drag this any further. So, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, if you have your own problems with the game, if you have likes with the game that I might have missed, mention it in the comments, because I am one person. It is one perspective, and my perspective is very, very narrowed in my own profession. Why? It's because I see it as a game developer. Like, I experience it as a player, but I cannot help to not see it from a game developer's perspective, because I work on these stuff. So I'm trying to take the good stuff with it, and try to what call it, see that the good stuff in it practically. Like, the words I'm trying to use is kind of hard to say, but I'm trying to see what I can replicate in my own design if I ever try to make something like this. Because if I was to ever make a game like this, I would want to kind of have some good stuff from this game format. So, anyways, that being said, I'm probably gonna go into the video because I think my cat just destroyed something in the house. If you guys might have heard it, so I'm going to see what the little cretin is up to. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And again, if there's any disagreements or agreements, leave it in the comments. I check all my comments all the time. But this will be the end of my opinions on this game. From now on, it's just going to be streams or showing gameplay or demonstrating tech. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care, and bye bye.